Hello and welcome back everyone to the video series daily show on Paramount Plus that has crowned its new champions. That's right, we have our two champions, our two world champions. But before we can talk about the winners, let's talk about these finals. Now, just like where last episode left off, everybody moves from the elimination arena to then meet up with TJ at a train station at night. This is giving me that Hey Arnold episode vibes with the haunted train. TJ gives everyone a ticket for the Fear Express, which is what this train is labeled as. Everybody boards the train, gets their beds, gets a little bit of reflection of their journey up to this point and what they're excited and how excited they are for the upcoming finals, even though you can tell that there is some hesitation to some of the teams because of them being on the Fear Express. And what does that even mean? Everybody goes to bed, wakes up the next morning to meet up with TJ in like a desert. Now I can understand where people are saying that this could be a little bit cheesy with the Fear Express, the train, the motif, the theme. TJ's dressing up like a conductor or whatever he's dressing up as. I don't think this is a conductor outfit. But to me, I like the production of this. I like the train. I like what they do, especially with the sleeping portion, which we will get to very soon. And TJ's getup, it just adds a little bit of fun to the game that I feel like they lose a little bit every time they try to brand this the fifth sport, the fifth major sport. It is here that TJ tells everybody about the first stage of the finals, which is called Loops of Hell. Now in this stage, all the teams will run a 4-mile loop. At the end of that loop, there are tasks to do. You'll do one task and then do another 4-mile loop. You have to do this 4 times, equaling 16 miles, 4 tasks. Once you are done with all your tasks and all your running, your time will be stopped. This portion of the finals really reminds me of season 33's finals, where that beginning portion was rough. They had to do that crazy 8 where they had to switch off between biking and running, and then you had a whole bunch of tasks in the middle of that crazy 8. To me, this stage 1 was more brutal than all of the spin-offs, and taking a look at this final as a whole, this to me was way tougher than the 100-hour final. Now, I think the 100-hour can be mentally draining, but the way it was edited and then the way this one was edited makes this one feel way worse. Like, I would much rather do the 100-hour final than this final. In the initial run, it was actually quite interesting where everyone was placing. You had Jordan, Kaz, Kaycee, Troy kind of jockeying for first place. You even had a couple of people kind of like moosing around in the middle, jumping ahead and then falling back a little bit. What was really heartbreaking was Theo rolling his ankle in the first 4 miles. He was looking backwards at one point, he stepped in a hole, rolled up on his ankle, and essentially that was it for him and Sarah. They did like a couple of extra more laps, they did a few tasks, but ultimately they were going slower and slower every time they were walking. They got lapped by pretty much all the teams, and then at a certain point, Theo just had to sit down and say that it was over. And you just hate to see it, you know? You hate to see. This was Theo's return. And with this final looking like season 33 War of the Worlds final, and knowing that that was Theo's first season, first final, and he got second place, I had high hopes for him, you know, coming into these finals. And so with him going out like that, it was just really upsetting to see. So now let's focus on the 3 teams that are left in the game. Going back to the first lap, the first team to actually get into the puzzle stations were Troy and Kaycee, and they decided to do the wait for it checkpoint first. Then it was Danny and Tori, and Jordan and Kaz actually came in 3rd place into the first puzzle station, but they did the crack the code first. They cracked the code. They're heading out 1st place. Then you have Danny and Tori completing throwing the shade checkpoint and heading out 2nd. Then Troy and Kaycee finish up their first checkpoint in 3rd. That's where everybody would stay for the majority of this stage. Jordan and Kaz would never give up 1st place. They actually take care of all of their checkpoints and finish this stage 1 in 1st place. Danny and Tori were staying in 2nd place up until the final checkpoint, because Jordan and Kaz and Danny and Tori both saved the 6 smoothie for last. Danny and Tori had to wait on Jordan and Kaz. Because they had to wait for Jordan and Kaz to finish their smoothies, the best they could finish was second place. However, as they were trying to drink the smoothie, Troy and Kaycee came in, had to wrap up their final checkpoint, which they already took care of the sixth smoothie, and they were able to hop over Danny and Tori, finishing the first stage in second place, and Danny and Tori finishing in third place. Everybody walks back onto the train. TJ tells everybody that only 3 people can get IVs, 1 player per team, as well as letting them know that Sarah and Theo were medically disqualified from the finals and they are out of the game. Once Danny, Kaz, and Kaycee all get their IVs and everybody is just chilling out, waiting for TJ's next instructions, TJ shows up, hands them some keys, and tells them to get dressed because they're going to a fancy dinner. And honestly, this is a banquet. And there's tons of good food. I was thinking with the Fear Express they were eating something disgusting. Not so much. It's all really good food. They have a ton of food, so everybody's just stuffing their faces after a long 16 miles in the hot sun, as well as doing various tasks. Once they are done eating, TJ rejoins the group and tells them that they will be playing in the overnight phase, which is called Insomnia. Everybody will have to wear shock collars, and they cannot go to sleep at all during the night portion. They all have to stay awake until like 6 a.m., and then they can go to sleep, but they will only be allotted a limited amount of sleep depending on how they finish stage 1. With Jordan and Kaz finishing in first, they get a full hour of rest. Kaycee and Troy finishing in second place will get a full 30 minutes of sleep, and because Danny and Tori finished in third place, they will only get 15 minutes of sleep. You can tell that everybody who is left is exhausted and now they cannot go to sleep. They could be shocked by these dog collars, which we all saw in like season 24 Rivals 2. These shock collars are no joke. So everybody is like keeping an eye on their partners. They don't want to be shocked. They do not want to have to feel that pain. But also, this was a fun portion of the overnight because they all wanted to help each other out, not fall asleep. Nobody wanted to see their friends being shocked. And there was even some funny moments during this point where everybody was dunking their heads in ice water. Everybody was like having a good time, throwing water in each other's faces, making jokes, having a good time. And to me, this was a fun portion of the finals. This is a portion that I want to see throughout the season. I don't think we get a ton of jokey moments throughout the season. Yet here we are in the finals where everybody is exhausted, everybody is stressed to the max, yet they're finding some time to have some fun with each other. And to me, why not just make this like a thing that happens throughout the season? Like show some funny moments. Everybody makes it to 6 a.m. Nobody got shocked. Jordan and Kaz get to fall asleep for an hour. Then it was Troy and Kaycee that get to fall asleep for 30 minutes. And Danny and Tori get to close their eyes because in the next moment, boom, TJ walks in, tells everybody to get up, meet him outside the train for the final push of the finals. Now, I want to take a moment before we get to the final push, the final stage, the final day of the challenge. We get to hear some confessionals from everybody. You get to hear from like Jordan and Kaz, Danny and Tori. But one I want to like lock into was Troy and Kaycee, because in that confessional, Kaycee is crying, she has tears in her eyes, and she's talking about how she feels like her body is shutting down, and Troy just says like, we'll just do our best out there. To me, that just signified that they were definitely not going to win. With Kaycee already feeling like she can't finish this before they even exit the train, to me is a self-fulfilling prophecy, and I just knew that it was going to come down to the two teams. But how the final day went was way different than what I was anticipating after seeing Kaycee and Troy's confessional, because everybody exiting the train, TJ tells them that they will be doing a race to the finish, which is take a bike ride, then at a certain point you'll get off your bike and then run for a long time, and then you will be finishing the race. What TJ doesn't tell them, which I thought was a really fun twist, that during that run, they will get to a puzzle station, they have to solve a puzzle, run up a mountain, grab a key, and then run all the way back to the starting line of this phase. I thought that this twist was really effective because I was sitting there thinking, oh my goodness, this is it. This is done. When everybody's racing up the mountain, I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is a classic challenge move to finish up. They have the flag up there. TJ's going to be standing up there and he's going to tell everybody like, you won. And then for it to be just grab a key and run all the way back to, I thought that was really, really great. I loved it. I loved that moment. But let's first get to the bike ride where we have Tori and Kaycee getting out to an early lead, Jordan and Kaz in second place, and Danny and Tori are in third place. Tori says in a confessional that she has not ridden a bike in quite a while. So her fear was actually bikes, which is pretty incredible that she's been in how many finals and bikes have never appeared once. So hopefully she takes some money that she won in season 38 and buys a nice bike and starts to train that way. Everybody gets off their bikes. We get to the running portion, and this is where we really get to see Troy and Kaycee start to slow down. At the running portion, they start to really go from jogging to now a slow walk. Kaycee has to have some walking sticks. I feel like maybe she re-aggravated her knee injury, the one that she suffered in the Double Agent season 36 finals. I have a feeling that maybe at some point during the run in the previous day, or maybe possibly during the hall brawl against Emily, because Emily was really tugging at that leg at a certain point in one of those rounds. And I wonder if the run in day one, pain started to compound in her knee to where when they finally got off those bikes in this last day, this last push, and it just became so unbearable that at one point, Troy had to actually give Kaycee a piggyback ride. During this run, it was easy for Jordan and Kaz to surpass Kaycee and Troy, but with the puzzle, it is always an equalizer. So Jordan and Kaz were at the puzzle, then it was Kaycee and Troy, and then Danny and Tori show up at the slide puzzle as well. They have to use all the keys and what they've been carrying with their country's flag on it the whole day from the start of this whole thing. They had to use all of that to finish a slide puzzle and then run up the mountain. Jordan and Kaz are able to finish this puzzle first. They're running up the mountain. They're feeling like they're at the finish line. They got this locked down and packed. But however, when they get up to the top of the mountain, they find a row of keys and a sign that says, take this key all the way back to the starting line. So they grab a key and they start heading back down the mountain and to the finish line. Troy and Kaycee are able to finish the slide puzzle. They're running up the mountains thinking that this is it. They are locking in second place. Danny and Tori finished their puzzle not long after Kaycee and Troy finished their puzzle, and on the climb up, they're able to actually surpass Kaycee and Troy. Danny and Tori grab their key. They're heading back. Kaycee and Troy grab their key. They're heading back. I was actually thinking that once Kaycee and Troy saw the keys sitting there, I was thinking that Kaycee would be like, I can't do it. I can't do another long hike all the way back to the finish line. I just thought that there was no way. She was in so much pain, and I just felt like this climb up the mountain was it for her. That she was like, I can't do another lap. Luckily, they were able to do it. Troy was there, ready to push her, get her to the finish line. He just wanted to finish. At this point, I think Troy and Kaycee both knew that they were done, that they were not going to win this thing, but they wanted to finish. They didn't want that DQ next to their name. They wanted to just finish. So they were going to take their time, get to the finish line, cross that finish line, and just be done. Jordan and Kaz are way up ahead, and they never slow down. At one point, Kaz was even telling Jordan that we got to keep going harder. We got to keep pushing ourselves. And they just never let up. Once they got that key, I felt like they had a second wind in them, and they just turned it up to 11 and gave everything they had, and everything they had was enough to come in first place. Jordan and Kaz are this season's world champions. Danny and Tori finish in second place, and like I mentioned, Kaycee and Troy just wanted to finish, and they did. They were able to finish these finals, and even though they didn't win, it's a sense of accomplishment that they were in so much pain. They went through so much adversity, especially through the season and in the finals, and they were able to get third place. This played out exactly how I thought it was going to play out. I thought Kaycee and Troy actually did way better than what I was even picturing when I did like the finals preview last Friday. And to me, this was really, really compelling finals. It was fun to watch. You could tell how brutal it was. You could tell how hard it was on the competitors. The competitors had to leave everything they had, not only to possibly win this thing, but just to finish it. I just really, really appreciated these finals and how hard it was, and I had a great time watching this. This was entertaining from beginning to end, in my opinion, and it was hitting on all cylinders for me. So to me, I think that these finals were a major success. So congratulations again to all the finalists and everybody who was able to finish these finals, as well as the champions of Jordan and Kaz. But that is it for this season of the challenge. World Championship, that is it. We have crowned the champions. We are done. This was the final episode. Now, I do want to mention that tomorrow's Tiny Table Talk is going to be a comment palooza. So I want to take like a good amount of comments from today's video and use them as talking points and answering comments throughout the whole Tiny Table Talk. So please leave me anything and everything you felt about these finals, the season, the competitors, everything that you thought about this season down in the comment section below, because I do want to use like a ton of them, like a lot of comments in tomorrow's Tiny Table Talk. So please leave me anything and everything you felt about this season and everything, this finals, everything down in the comment section below. I want to give a special shout out, thank you to everyone who supports me over at patreon.com/AngelCakeVids. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you. And thank you to everyone who's watching this video up to this point. I'll be back really, really soon with more challenge content, more content in general. But until then, peace.